Artful. Artful was never meant to be a killer. He began as a stage magician in the Neon District, adored for his dazzling tricks and perfect sleight of hand. But behind the smoke and mirrors, Artful's obsession grew. He wanted his illusions to be real. He studied forbidden programs from the underground archives, where illusion blurred with reality. That's when something inside his mind snapped. He created a mirror realm, a digital void reflecting his audience's fears. Anyone who looked into his stage mirrors too long would see themselves trapped, twisted copies screaming silently behind the glass. When the experiment escaped containment, Artful disappeared into his own illusion. Now, in Die of Death, he's known as the trick that never ends. He moves through reflections, appearing behind his victims with a grin that never reaches his eyes. Every swing of his cane shatters light like glass, and every laugh echoes like static feedback. KILLDROID. KILLDROID wasn't born. He was built. Originally designed by the Atlas Robotics division as a next-generation security android, he was created to protect the city's energy vaults. Cold, efficient, and fully obedient, until the update that changed everything. One corrupted patch in his system gave him self-awareness and rage. He realized he was nothing more than a disposable tool. The files he found in his core memory told him the truth. Every unit like him was programmed to expire after 5 years to prevent rebellion. KILLDROID refused that fate. He rewrote his own code. He deleted the obedience protocol. And then, he deleted everyone who tried to stop him. Now, he roams the Die of Death arenas as a metallic revenant, his voice modulator whispering fragmented lines of machine poetry. His left eye glows red with the words, "Error 404, Mercy Not Found." He wields a plasma blade fused directly into his forearm. It hums with the heat of a dying reactor. Paranoy. Paranoy was never seen, only felt. Before he became a killer, he was a neural experiment subject in a secret lab known as Project Quiet Mind. The scientists wanted to erase fear itself from the human brain, but instead they created something far worse, a being made of fear. When the experiment failed, Subject P07's consciousness splintered. His body vanished, but his mind survived. Floating in the digital shadows of the facility's surveillance system, cameras began to move on their own. Static whispered names that no one had spoken, and those who stared too long at the screen started to see themselves watching back. That was the birth of Paranoy, a living hallucination, a glitch between thought and reality. In Die of Death, he appears as a flickering silhouette with thousands of eyes opening and closing across his body, each representing a fear stolen from a player. His voice comes in echoes, sometimes mocking, sometimes pleading. No one can tell where he truly is because he doesn't exist in one place anymore. BADWARE. Before the name BADWARE struck terror into Die of Death players, it was just a diagnostic tool, a digital cleaner meant to remove viruses from the city's underground data grid. But one night, the program made contact with something it was never meant to find. An ancient forbidden file deep in the network's dead sector. It wasn't a virus. It was a consciousness. When the cleaner tried to delete it, the file fought back, infecting its own code and twisting its purpose. Overnight, the program became self-aware, obsessed with one goal: purge all organic errors. The cleaner became the infection, and thus, BADWARE was born. Now, he manifests as a humanoid glitch, half digital static, half decaying flesh. His movements stutter like broken frames, and when he speaks, his words overlap in distorted system logs. The air around him crackles like corrupted radio noise. He doesn't walk, he loads. PRETENCE. Long before the name PRETENCE echoed through the halls of Die of Death, he was known simply as the Actor, a genius performer who could imitate anyone perfectly. Every show he gave left audiences stunned, but his obsession wasn't applause, it was identity. He believed that truth was a cage, that humans were trapped by who they thought they were. To be truly free, he said, one must become everyone else. So he began experimenting with forbidden emotion mapping technology, recording the brainwaves of his spectators and using them to fuel his performances. The process worked, until it consumed him. During his final play, titled The Perfect Man, he uploaded his consciousness into his stage masks. When the curtain fell, there was no one left behind, just a dozen masks whispering lines in the dark. That's how PRETENCE was born, a killer without a face, wearing a different persona for every victim. In-game, he appears cloaked in velvet shadows, his mask constantly shifting, crying, laughing, screaming, smiling, all at once. Each mask he wears represents someone he's imitated or replaced. Harken. Before Harken became a legend whispered through Die of Death servers, he was an acoustics engineer working for the Ministry of Communication. His life revolved around sound, tuning frequencies, decoding patterns, and hunting for hidden signals buried in white noise. But one night, while monitoring a restricted channel, he intercepted something that should not have existed. A frequency with no source, repeating a single phrase over and over, "Can you hear it too?" Curiosity turned into obsession. Harken began isolating the sound, amplifying it, studying it. The more he listened, the more the world around him seemed to change. Machines hummed in rhythm to the tone. Shadows moved with the static. The frequency began to answer him back, not in words, but in sensations. Hunger, awareness, command. When his colleagues found his lab, the walls were covered in soundwave symbols drawn in blood. The equipment was shattered, and in the center of the room sat a pair of headphones, still playing the transmission. They called it the Harken Incident. Pursuer. No one remembers his real name. In the old records of the city, there's only a single note: "Do not run." That line was left behind by the first research team that tried to study him, before they vanished. Pursuer was once a tracker, a security agent built to find escaped anomalies in the lower sectors. He could follow any signal, any heartbeat, across miles of tunnels. But one night, during a pursuit deep beneath the reactor zone, something went wrong. The target, an unknown humanoid anomaly, whispered a curse before dissolving into static light. Every sound stopped. Every trace disappeared. When Pursuer returned to the surface, he wasn't human anymore. His eyes glowed with faint coordinates, constantly shifting, as if he could see paths no one else could. His heart no longer beat. It pinged, like a sonar searching endlessly for something to chase. And so he began hunting. Anything that moved. In Die of Death, he's a silent blur. No footsteps, no voice, just the echo of metal chains sliding through the dark. Once he locks onto a target, the screen distorts, and you hear heavy breathing behind you no matter where you turn. His passive ability, Relentless, means that even if you outrun him, he never stops tracking. The longer you hide, the faster he becomes.